Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Dimes, a college basketball podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Jamie Shaw. Jamie, I will get better at the intro in it's our second episode. I will figure it out. But how are you doing today?
Man, things are good. Things are good. Nice, wonderful weather. We're starting to see what football weather is starting to look like and everything. So it's starting to taper down
See,
into the
you're in North
degrees.
Carolina, or you're in the Carolinas over there. So
Yep.
I feel like you actually get like a good fall for extended amount of time here.
Yes.
Louisiana,
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know, man. Louisiana, we might it's summer for so long, and then it get fall for maybe a month or two, and then it's kind of cold, but not really cold, so it's just a weird transition everywhere.
Yeah, man. Nah, we get every bit of fall, spring, summer, and winter
Yeah.
here in the Carolinas. So it's nice. So it's a good transition though, getting from summer where it was just really hot this summer, especially the later
hmm
parts of it. Now we're starting to get the falls into some 70 degrees weather and all that stuff. So it's very excited to see the transition.
Yes. Yes. And we're going to talk about some 2026 commits here, and then we'll actually talk about the incoming freshman class for college basketball, this 125 class, hand out some superlatives, players we're excited to see, players we're high on, and whatnot. But we're going to start with 2026 commits. It was a busy past 3 days. We did it on Tuesday, where we did a handful of recent commits, and then all of a sudden, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I mean, honestly, just Wednesday, Thursday, and we have six written down here where they all committed to high major programs, all committed to big time coaches and teams. So we'll kind of rapid fire this a little bit, but obviously there's a few where we can spend some time on. I want to start with Taurus Bowie to Alabama, the number 82 player in Rivals rankings, a 6'5" small forward. Where do you want to start with him? What's your evaluation? What is Alabama getting?
Well, it's an interesting pickup because this past weekend they had three people on campus with Alozi, Chris Washington, and Taurus. Two of them
hmm
committed with Washington and Taurus, and this next upcoming weekend they'll have three more on campus: Dylan Mingo, Caleb Holt, and then Jackson Robinson as well. So to be able to lock up two of the three in the first one, with Taurus Bowie being the second one after Chris Washington, he's a long and athletic wing, really good in transition. You really see his ability to defend, scale up a lineup. He's got a great motor, uses his length aggressively in the passing lanes, gets downhill, dunks, and he can knock down a shot. Thin, continuing to develop in the half court and how his game translates into the half court, but there's a lot of upside there, and he's had steady progression going from his freshman to sophomore, junior, now heading into his senior year at Spire Academy. Originally from North Carolina, Alabama targeted him early, got him on campus early, and continued through the process with him, and they were able to lock him up this past week of a guy that has upside. It has upside and continues to climb the ladder, progressing his game toward the future.
This is just the archetype of player that Alabama has really honed in on the past. I mean, really since Nate Oates got there, but like especially recently, it's just these really interesting wing athletes that you see that they can defend. Obviously, the shooting potential is there for all of them. Um, honestly, like he's listed as 6'5", but he's so long and such a springy athlete. Like, I mean, he could pass for like 6'7" at times to me, like on the wings. That's what makes him impressive. And so, yeah, Alabama stockpiling these really interesting wings, like you said. We talked about one on Tuesday's episode as well.
Mm-hmm. They're fluid positionally and switchable athletically.
Yep.
You kind of going two through four players that can kind of fluidly move about those positions.
Yep. Now Georgia Tech got two commits, and it's really their recruiting class in general has been impressive. Now when you add these two to the mix, Caden Bailey, 6'2" point guard, the number 133 player on Rivals, and then Jalen Wingfield, a 6'7" small forward, a 3-star on Rivals. What are your thoughts on these two? I've seen Bailey play, and I was pretty impressed with him, so I think it's a really good gift for him. But what are your thoughts?
Well, what you have with the two of these guys is Caden Bailey. You have a steady player. You have a guy who can get you into sets. He can knock down shots. He doesn't have too many highs. He doesn't have too many lows. He's just kind of a steady guy going across the board who can dribble, shoot, and pass in the backcourt and bring that stability to the position, whether he's on the ball or off the ball. And then you have Jalen Wingfield, who's a high upside player. He's from the state of Georgia. He's the son of D'Antonio Wingfield, played in the NBA for a little bit, and then a former McDonald's All-American. 6'6", 6'7". He's got great length, and he's continued puts on strength. His game's continuing to improve. Prior in his career, more of a 4-5 guy, stretching out to the wing. He's developing the handle, getting to his spots, and the jump shots coming around as well. He's an upside play. You can see the projectability that he has within his frame. You see the athleticism that he has, the pop, the natural ability, and you see the development that he's having within his skill set as well. He's one to continue watching while Caden Bailey comes in as somebody who's steady, kind of ready-made, ready to get on the floor and carve out some minutes and kind of get into the flow. Wingfield's one that you watch for, kind of earmark the name 2 or 3 years down the road. What has he developed into? Could be very intriguing.
Yeah. Bailey, I mean, we saw on Team Why Not, especially, I mean, really throughout the summer, and then in Peach Jam had some strong performances as well, I believe 15 and 20 points in those games. So a guy who can really shoot it at times, I think is a really good complementary player, and I think will prove to be a good player for a long time, like a good college player for a long time for Georgia Tech, hopefully. All right, Ethan Mbako to Vanderbilt. This is a player I know because LSU was in on him early on, and made his top five and whatnot. He ends up going to Vanderbilt, so I was able to keep track of his recruitment a little bit. But what are your thoughts on Mbako and what Vanderbilt's getting?
He's a scorer. He's somebody who has consistently scored the basketball, no matter being with on the EYBL Scholastic last year with Oak Hill Academy, whether it be on the EYBL circuit with Team Mello this summer. He averaged 19 points per game this summer, scoring the ball from all three levels. He's the younger brother of Mackenzie Mbako, who's now at Texas A&M, a former McDonald's All-American as well. Ethan's kind of flown a little bit under the radar. Younger in his age, freshman year up in New Jersey, he was a big kid. He has lost a lot of weight over the last few years and now worked himself into a bona fide top 100 type of wing prospect. What Vanderbilt's getting is somebody who's got a confidence and a base ability to score the basketball. Now he's got to go and figure out the finer nuances, the balance points, the footwork, getting to his spots, the efficiency, kind of streamline his scoring ability. But at 6'6", he's somebody who's innately able to get buckets. And there's always going to be value in getting buckets.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he played on Team Mello over the summer and he wore number 7. So I think that just tells you everything you need to know. I feel like that should be like the retired jersey for Team Mello. If you wear number 7, you better be able to score like 20 a game,
Yeah.
and that's what he did. Yeah, 38% from three. Like you said, a solid athlete. I think he even showed some like mid post game at time. Again, wearing number 7 at Mello, I think you have to. But yeah, he's a really interesting, really fun scorer, and I think that fits what Vanderbilt has had recently in terms of those guys that can shoot the three and score in kind of a variety of ways. So good for Vanderbilt there. Let's move to the ACC with Trevon Carter-Givens to NC State, the number 108 player on Rivals, a 6'10 center. Quick thoughts on what Will Wade and company are getting over there.
He was AAU teammates on Why Not with Caden Bailey. Carter-Givens is an upside play. He's 6'10", 6'11", unbelievable length and fluid. He's a great mover. He's also young. While he did reclass going from the 25 to 26 class, he's still only 17 years old. So still very young as a prospect going through with a high upside. What his superpower is, I guess, as a player is his ability to move in his length. There's a ton of upside that he brings with being able to block shots, getting into the teeth of rebounding and the physicality of the game and all that. He's fine with that. He gets into the physicality. Now he's just got to grow his game, continue to add strength, continue to get to his core and his base. He averaged over 2 blocks per game during Pete's Jam, got up approaching 6 rebounds per game as well, and shot 75% from the field. He's an efficient player and knows his game. Now it's just all about gaining the confidence along with the strength and the core and the base. High defensive upside, high ability to protect the rim, but not only that, switch across and slide his feet and move across, kind of going from rim protection to perimeter and everything in between, and kind of the fluid type of defense that Will Wade likes to run with his bigs and with his forwards.
Yeah, I saw him on Team Why Not as well. I'm very interested in him as a defender, like you said, especially as a rim protector and rebounder. Just a real hard nosed guy. I like it.
Mhm.
All right, and we'll end it with Jones Lay, 7 foot center, committing to Florida here in Todd Golden's group. What are your thoughts on Jones?
Todd Golden's got it tight. He loves to stockpile the athletic,
Yes, he
physical,
does.
6'11", 7-foot players. I mean, we saw it last year on the national championship run. He had 4 in the rotation that were constantly getting minutes in and out. Jones lays another player in that archetype. He's a late bloomer, transferred to Moravian Prep this past year, and just his game took off. He's up now to about 6'11", 7 foot. He's physical. He's tough. He wants to dunk on you. He wants to grab rebounds and do all that. He's continuing to get better with his game. So moving right into this Florida system, as we said, Florida likes to stockpile those big physical, tough guys, and lays a big physical, tough big who can move. So upside's high there. Probably not going to win a lot of press conferences. Getting Jones Lay. However, 2-3 years down the road, when we're looking at the rotation that Todd Golden has of bigs, and Jones Lay is in there giving quality minutes for Florida, we're going to look back and say, man, this Todd Golden, he just finds them.
Yeah. And I love, there's not urgency in terms of being like, oh, we need him right away. Like like you said, they stockpile him, they give him development, and that's what Florida does. That's why they won a national championship. All right, let's move on to the 2025 freshman class. We'll call it some superlatives here. We have 4 categories, and I think this will help us kind of sort things out in our minds, and also let us focus on a couple players each. We'll start with the most impactful, and I don't want to speak for you, but this is a class where there are 3 players that are all could be number 1 picks and that are all fantastic. Well, throw Nate Min in there because they have the 3 consensus ones, and then I know you and Rivals have Nate Mint number 2 as well, so we'll make it 4 here. Which one of those do you see being most impactful year 1 for their teams? Now, again, most of them are only going to play 1 year, or not all of them are only going to play 1 year. But which one do you think has the potential to be the most impactful year 1?
I think it's going to be looking right at. I guess for here, there's quite a few guys, I guess, and there's different varying levels of impact that's going to happen. But for the purposes, I guess, of this conversation, Darren Peterson is going to be the one that I think, when looking at college basketball, he's the impact he's going to have. You're going into Kansas. You got Bill Self. You have a team that was built surrounding what Darren Peterson has, and what Darren Peterson is. He's going to have the ball in his hands, and he's somebody who competes, and he continues to get better. So NBA draft aside, NBA prospects aside, looking strictly at this college basketball season, I really do think Darren Peterson will make a run for National Freshman of the Year. I think Darren Peterson will make a run at the most productive player coming out, the most productive freshman out of this 2025 recruiting high school class as a freshman. Big, strong, physical guard. He really plays with a good pace, but what he does is he collapses the defense and really puts pressure on the defense, drawing a ton of fouls. He'll get to the free throw line a lot, and as he continues to work through the pick and roll, he'll have a roll man with Floyd Badunga. He's got a couple shooters and wing guys that he can spray the ball out to, but everything's going to be centered around him. The ball's going to be in his hands, and he's going to be able to make some plays with a long leash of being able to continue to go out and make plays and produce.
Yeah, I have the same pick in terms of Darren Peterson was my pick as well for most impactful. What he's going to be asked to do at Kansas, and all 4 of those guys will start and play significant minutes and significant roles. But Peterson, it feels like, is going to have the ball in his hands like a lot, and they need him this year. Like, this is a Kansas team that I think has been kind of picked apart over the offseason in terms of just kind of what the upside is and whatnot. Darren Peterson is your upside. Darren Peterson is the one that, if this is going to work out in terms of you being a top 10 team in the country, top 15 team in the country, Darren Peterson has to be a superstar. And so I think he has all the tools to do that. I mean, just a complete player, all 3 levels, scoring and the handle, passing. I think he can distribute. I think there is a way you run through your offense through him. But it's going to obviously he's a freshman in the Big 12. So all these guys will have some lumps, but I did pick Darren Peterson as well. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. AJ will obviously be utilized a lot. Boozer will be utilized a lot. Ament as well. But I did go with Peterson here as well. The second superlative here, let's see if we get a different pick here. Favorite player outside the top 5. Now, I still think I went with a relatively high rated guy. I went with Michael Brown, and I think the surge of like hype that he got, obviously with the U19 World Cup, was a lot. So I don't want to like over exaggerate, what he is and what he can be. But I think the shooting is still very real. 20 of 41 from 3 in the World Cup, 37% from 3 in high school. Just a real scorer. Can play out of ball screens continuously. It just finds new ways to score and to get his offense into advantageous situations. Like the athleticism, I think, is real. You see how long he is. And then I think just as a passer and a finisher, he's going to be really fun. So Michael Brown at Louisville, he's going to play a ton. We know how good their backcourt is already. We know how good their team is this year. But I still think Michael Brown will factor in and be a good player for them.
Yeah, I think kind of building along those lines of what we said with Darren Peterson, I think the team's going to kind of go around him. In order for Louisville's got all lofty expectations. In order for them to reach those, Michael Brown's going to have to be very good. He's going to have to get in there quick. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to have some shooters around him with some bigs at the front of the rim. So there's a construct of a team there with the ball in his hand and a long leash that could lead to a lot of success. One that I'm going to look at, somebody that I think is going to have a lot of success this season, is Koa Pete. Outside of the top 5, maybe not necessarily as high up on the NBA draft type situations as others, but what he has is he's just got a grit and a will. He's got an understanding of basketball. He knows how to play ball in hand. He can get some things done. He's a little bit unique. Tommy Lloyd previously has shown, even back to his Gonzaga days, 2 bigs. Cole is more of a 6'7", 6'8" 4-man, but he's also somebody that you can run an offense through, be an offensive hub. Put the ball in his hands, and he can go make a play, whether it be getting downhill, finishing at the rim, or distributing, getting his teammates open. He's a physical player. Dad was an offensive lineman. Brother was a first-round draft pick as an offensive lineman as well. There's a physical nature that he brings onto the basketball court with strength and all that type of stuff. He's going to be motivated to win. He's a 3-time gold medalist for USA Basketball at FIBA. He's I think 4-time state champion at Perry High School in Gilbert, Arizona. Winning is kind of what he has done and what has led to. He's going to go to Arizona. He's going to find a lot of production with the role that he's going to be given in a team that's going to have a lot of expectations. And just kind of as a side note to him, he played the entire playoffs last year, winning a state championship, but he played the entire playoffs with a broken thumb on his dominant right hand. So he goes through at Perry High School state championship, entire playoff run all the way through to win the state championship, playing with I guess incapacitated or inability to use his hand because of a broken thumb on his dominant hand, still wins the state championship. So there's a competitiveness, there's a winning nature there, and there's something that he just brings to the floor. That's going to be very interesting to see at the college level.
I saw him 2 years ago on the circuit, and I was kind of like, I didn't fully see it at the time. I think he still hadn't cut down the way that he did like over the past year and change. Like it really feel like he's slimmed down a little bit, got in better shape. And again, we're talking about like 16-year-old kids, so that happens a lot, like where they get into better shape. But you just saw the evolution of him, I think, in the World Cup again, to reference how good he was there. There were times where he was like the best player on the court, and I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. So okay, Arizona's getting a legitimate top 10 player here, in my opinion, and I'm excited to see what he can
One
do.
thing that we saw, especially even during that World Cup training camp, as they were leading up to picking the team from 33 to the 12, was the explosion. We hadn't seen that
Mm-hmm.
from him previously. He's been a big, strong, physical guy, but you hadn't seen the pop even in
Yeah.
high school, even a couple months previous through high school. He was playing light and playing in the air, attacking the rim, and doing all that. So that's a very intriguing aspect, a value add to his game of somebody who's been more physical and grounded. The ability to get up and affect the play at the rim. It's going to be very intriguing to see how that adds to kind of his game moving forward.
Yeah, you phrased that much better than I did. That's exactly what I was trying to say. He wasn't that before, and now he is that. So that's great. All right, next category. Player you think will take some time. Obviously these are all, 18, 17, 18-year-olds. We got to see what they can and can't do in the college landscape. But a player that I'm not sure will explode onto the scene year one and just be a bona fide, really really good starter. I'm interested in Nick Amenya from
Mm-hmm.
Duke. He's very talented, can shoot the ball. I think there is some versatility to his game. This is partially because he's at Duke, and it's just going to be so much talent to compete with immediately. I think we saw on the World Cup team there were times where he kind of had to take a back seat. His minutes went down as the tournament went on. I just think there's some question marks in terms of the like athleticism and the real pop ability. But in terms of a role player, and I'm still think he can contribute this year with Duke, but it might take a little bit more time than what what's maybe some Duke fans that haven't seen him will just look at a ranking and be like, oh, this is, an immediate starter, a first round pick. Maybe he is, but I just need to see it.
Yeah, so with Nick Amenia, I think he's somebody that actually kind of watches, somebody who could pop um, this year. If we look at Duke, what they did last year, you have a Con Knipple. Wasn't necessarily being talked about at a high level. Coming in, all of a sudden the preseason stuff started happening, and then it started to rise, and then the game started happening, and it, ended up being a top 5 pick. Not at all saying that Nick Amenia is going to be a top 5 pick. Not at all saying that any of that type of stuff. But I think he's somebody whose game takes a little bit of time to kind of understand. He can dribble, shoot, and pass every bit of 6'8", 200+ pounds, very
Hmm.
strong, physical, sturdy player, and a huge basketball IQ. It's going to be very fascinating to see. Just like you said, I can see him being somebody who starts and has a huge role within this team as to the success they have. I can also see somebody who takes a little bit of time and then next year takes that step. So I think that's a very good name. I was torn between two on this one. The first one being Braden Hawthorne at Kentucky, the second one being Xavier State at BYU. So I'll kind of touch on
You can
both
do them
of them
both. Yeah.
very quickly. Braden Hawthorne, somebody that took a late kind of jump at Huntington Prep, ends up being 6'8" or so heading into college. He ended up in the top 40 for rivals in our rankings. He's somebody who was a guard for the most of his life, 6'1", 6'2", then all of a sudden had a late growth spurt, kept the guard skills, kept the fluidity. Now all of a sudden he's just got to add the strength. Once he has the strength and confidence playing at a high level, there's an ability to self-create. There's an ability to get to spots off the bounce, ball in hand. There's an ability to shoot the ball in there as well. And he's got a little pop to his game. Getting stronger is going to be the big thing for him. And finding out how to kind of implement his game, the uniqueness of his game with his size and length. How does he consistently create advantages for his team in the half court um, at Kentucky will be huge. It could take a little bit of time. Again, he just came on late, a late surge his senior season as he grew all the way up to 6'8" and started getting his dexterity together. So it could take a little bit of time, but there's a huge upside there with the potential of what Braden Hawthorne could bring. And then Xavier State, new to basketball, hadn't played his whole life. He's a 6'11", 7-footer freshman at BYU. He's out of Las Vegas. What he is, his superpower, where he puts his cape on, is he is an elite shot blocker. Rim protection is everything in basketball, as you well know. It allows your defense to play more aggressively. It allows you to get kind of higher up in the passing lanes when you're pressuring, and it allows the guards to be a little bit more aggressive. And he was probably the best rim protector in high school basketball this past season. The steps he's going to need to make is everything else within his game. Obviously, coming in late to the game, there's a feel situation there. Guys that have been playing basketball their whole life have a natural feel for the game. Guys that are a little bit later to it, they still have to go through that development and that feel for the game of basketball. So developing the feel, developing his touch, and continue to get stronger. Very, very thin player, but he's got high level shot blocking, rim protection ability, quite possibly the number one guy within this high school class going into their freshman year. And it's going to be very interesting to see the steps that he makes as he continues forward, because with that athleticism, that length, that natural pop that he has, left hand, right hand, weak side, on ball, um, you know, that natural ability he has to block shots, the value that brings to the game is going to be very interesting to see kind of the steps that he takes even throughout this year and what it looks like maybe in March as opposed to what it is right now in September.
Yeah. The last category we have favorite player outside the top 40. This is the Rivals top 40 for those wondering here. We are I have two names. So I'll go second. I'll let you go first here. Favorite player outside of the top 40.
How about you go ahead and knock out your first one, then I'll go, and then you knock
Yeah,
out your
we'll
second.
alternate. Okay. Caden Lewis, Villanova, number 53 player in the Rivals rankings. A player who I should play a ton for Villanova this year. I'm not as plugged in with Villanova. I've read about them and everything like that. All sources indicate that he should be potentially a starter this year for Villanova, if not a very, very big piece. And I see it. I see the ball screen ability. I see his just handle, the way he carries himself on offense. I think there's some real juice to his ability to create in one-on-one situations. And with that being the case, Villanova, I think, needs that. And I think they need a player to pop at the point guard position and a guy who can really have some wiggle like he does. So, yeah, he had an ankle injury, held him out for an extended amount of time, but I think he's going to be fine. And I'm interested to see if the three-point shot, which wasn't bad, but if the three-point shot continues to develop and if he can be a kind of three-level scorer for them this year. So Caden Lewis is my first.
I'm interested to kind of see. Uh, I don't really know how to answer this. The trio of guys going to Notre Dame that are ranked in that
So you
kind of
have
range.
3 picks.
Well, Notre Dame's class. I'm eager to see who steps
Yeah.
forward with Tommy Anneman, Brady Kohler, and Ryder Frost. I think that was a very sneaky class. Obviously, Jalen Harrelson was the bell cow of the class. He was the one that, that made the headlines whenever Michael Shrewsbury was able to earn that commitment. However, the supporting pieces around Jalen Harrelson, with Anneman, Kohler, and Ryder Frost is very intriguing. Ryder Frost, one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter within the 2025 class. Out of the Massachusetts area, played for the Middlesex Magic, just absolutely stripes it. Big 6'6" frame, unbelievable balance, consistent shot every single time it goes up. It looks like it's going in. And as you well know, positional size and shooting scales up. Eager to see what his role looks like within the team. Tommy Anneman and Brady Kohler, both bigs. Kohler's more of a fluid big, somebody who can probably scale down to the 4 if you're playing a 2 big type situation. He can move, unbelievable length, able to block shots, and he's got some ball skills, able to shoot the ball a little bit as well. He's somebody who's a late bloomer out of the Indianapolis area, Cathedral High School, I believe, and whose stock is on the straight rise up. Continue to add to his game. He's got a lot of stuff there, and he's the type of person who you look at every 3 months as he's developing now as a 19-year-old in college. Every 3 months, it's like, oh my gosh, 6 months down the road, where did this come from? Who is this guy? As he continues to put it together, and Tommy Anneman is almost a throwback. He's got a low block game, left hand, right hand. He's able to put the back to the basket and score over both shoulders with counters as well. Great hands, great touch, big physical presence, and all that. So all 3 of those guys were ranked below number 60, between 60 and 100. But they're all 3 guys going to Notre Dame that I think we're going to hear their names a lot over these next few years, quite possibly even starting this year. And I'm very eager to see kind of how the progression goes. This could be a very big class for Michael Shrewsbury, not the fact that he took 4 players, and that's a lot, but the fact that this is the class that people look back on that could send an upward trajectory for the Notre Dame program if he's looking to do it building around the high school classes and all that stuff. This class could be a very important one for Michael Shrewsbury's future. Looking forward, and these three guys could be ones that continue to take steps and turn heads.
Yeah. My second pick is Hudson Greer from Creighton, or playing at Creighton this year. Number 69 player. I saw him with JL3 back on the circuit. I played at Montverde this past year. A good athlete. Really, really love the energy. Love the versatility. Like you said, a player with size that can shoot. Usually scales. Now I'm interested. I know Creighton brought in a lot of transfers. I know they have a talented team. So I don't think he steps in and is starting immediately. Maybe I'm wrong, but regardless, I think he's someone that I expect to have a really, really good career in college and for Creighton. So 36.5% from three at Montverde. I just think that the size, the shooting, the energy is someone that I'm willing to take a bet on here, and I think Creighton's got a good one there.
Yeah, for sure. And I always like these questions too, because this is one of those things too. If you remember when we do our rankings at Rivals, the top of the class is projected toward the NBA draft. So, we want number one to go number one, number two to go number two, et cetera, and on down.
Yeah.
So I say that to say when you look at these rankings and all that, I think we're going to see, especially with this class in 2025, there's going to be a lot of guys in that sub 50 range, 50 to 100, 50 to 150, that have great college careers. Some guys that are even have really good college careers early on. This was a pretty deep class looking at it. So it's going to be exciting to actually track this class moving forward, because I think if we have this same conversation a year from now, from the 2025 class guys that were ranked below 50, I think we're going to have quite a few names we could both bring up of guys to watch for as their sophomore seasons arise, to be very impactful players at the collegiate level.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I think this was a good exercise for the 2025 class to get people at least on the board about who to watch here, who we're excited to see. Everybody knows, like I said, about the top 5, top 4 players, but when you go down a little bit, you have some real guys that are going to contribute this year for some teams. And everybody talks about the transfer portal, but coaches still love getting freshman recruits. That's for sure. That is never going to change.
2025 class at the top is going to be exciting. I'm going to be eager to see how everybody jockeys for position. There seems to be very strong opinions about guys at the top, and they seem to be kind of, varying all over the board. So it's going to be very fun to watch how the top of this class kind of progresses. Those top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, the guys that are going to go one and done, how it kind of progresses throughout the process.
Yeah. All right, Jamie. This was a fun episode. We'll be back on Tuesday, every Tuesday and Fridays for those listening. We're going to record, put out podcast episodes. Let us know what you want us to talk about down below. We have a loose schedule, but obviously it's the off season for another month or so we can kind of be flexible. But yeah, Jamie, appreciate it, man.
Matthew, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.